Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We've made it to a Friday, and I got a good show lined up. We're going to be joined by Becky Burleigh, a longtime Gator soccer coach. Here later in the show, she is shutting it down after this year as the Gators women's soccer coach. But in the meantime, we're going to go to the Titan Heartline and get some wisdom from Johnny C. Good morning, JC. How are you?
All right. Well, it's a rainy day. We're going to have a great weekend, though, and I've got things on my mind like Gator baseball. We've got a basketball game. We had 3 games yesterday canceled in the SEC because of weather, basically. So I don't know if you know, but I'm not sure what the rescheduling process is, if there is one in the SEC for basketball. I don't know that. But we do have a big game for Florida. What is it, Georgia, right? And so
it's a must-win.
Yeah, it really is, and so that's important. Somebody told me yesterday on the golf course that they thought, and they could be wrong about this, but that they thought that more fans were being allowed into the O'Connell Center or the Exact Tech Arena for basketball here lately. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it is a must-win for Florida, and getting into the tournament is the goal. Obviously, what the seed is secondary, but when you're
let me ask you this, JC, because you're full of all answers. You got lots of answers. So how do you go about in the SEC? Let me pull up the standings real quick, and I want to get your thoughts.
Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that.
Let me see if I can find them.
I got them.
I was looking at the golf standings. So,
okay, I have the SEC standings.
Okay, but I need to pull them up so I can ask my questions, and my little app is not working here.
Well, would you like help with that?
Here we go. So right now, obviously Alabama, I'm talking about for the SEC tournament. So let's say today ended the season. Okay. I mean, no more games. Mm-hmm. How do you determine who gets the 4 teams that get a bye? Because look right now. Basically, obviously, Alabama and Arkansas would, and
yes,
I guess LSU at 8-4. But now you got Tennessee at 8-5, Florida at 6-5, Ole Miss at 7-6, Missouri at 6-6. And maybe today's not a good example to try to figure this out. But let's say when everybody has not played the same amount of games is where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. You can't really go on win percentage. I'm just curious how the league is going to say, okay, you 4 teams get the double bye.
I don't know the answer to that. I would say, in baseball, the loss column, when you look at divisional races, is more important than the win column. And I guess there's some logic to that. But I think, there could be a makeup game played. I think there might have to be. I'm not exactly sure because you're right. There are a few teams that have had fewer games. Florida, of course, having only played 11. Most of the other teams have played either 12 or 13 games. And the only team that's played fewer games than Florida would be Texas A&M. They've played 8 games. And then, of course, Vanderbilt and South Carolina have played as many games as Florida with just 11. But South Carolina and Vanderbilt are going nowhere. So I don't have the answer to that. I would say today would not be the example you'd want to use for this. And what they may do is have a few extra, like they may play that Texas A&M Florida game or the Texas A&M Alabama game or whatever game Texas A&M has been that was canceled. I would guess they would play the Texas A&M Florida game but I don't have an answer. I will tell you though that Florida at 6-5 needs to get that 2-game losing streak changed, and certainly having not played any games outside of the Arkansas game in the month of February has not helped, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I'm looking here. It's hard to believe Missouri's 6-6 in the conference, and even Georgia's
really
6-8. Georgia's won more games than I thought they would win.
Yeah.
We also got baseball starts today, JC.
I know.
At 3:00. I don't know if the weather's going to cooperate or not. It's great.
So okay, if it doesn't cooperate at 3:00, why can't they push it back to 7:30? I mean,
the reason it was at 3:00 is for SEC Network. So I don't know if TV is calling the shots.
Probably is.
Well, they are calling the shots. That's why the game's at 3:00 today.
No, that's right. Probably so. But it's more important to have the game. And I think later, as the day goes by, looking at the weather forecast, it's going to clear up. And then tonight, it's going to be nice. And then tomorrow, it's going to be perfect. And then Sunday, it's going to be perfect. So maybe they decide if today is not a good day to play, they'll play 2 on Saturday and then on Sunday 1. I mean, why not play 2? Why not play 2? Why can't you play 2? Tell me why you can't play 2.
Well, I want to say they used to play, and I know softball did this, when they'd go somewhere and play a series. I want to say they'd play 2 games on Saturday and 1 on Sunday and get out of town. But now they moved all these series to 1 game each day.
Right.
And I think baseball used to do doubleheaders, but I could be wrong.
Well, it wouldn't be I understand softball for sure. I mean, those games can last as short as an hour and 20 minutes, really, in many cases. But those games are 7 innings, and they seem to not take as long as, obviously, as baseball games. So I say let's play 2 if they don't play today. Let's just get them out there and play 2 tomorrow, whatever the televised game is, and then 1 more after that or before that.
Okay, we got a text on the Titan MRI text line, but I'm going to have
What's wrong with that Titan MRI text line, QB?
I'm going to have our producer figure this out because it says subscription required now. I'm not quite sure where that came from. But so anyway.
That's great, QB.
If you have a text, you need to send us a Facebook Live because right now I can't read any of your text messages on the Titan MR hotline.
Well, it's not very hot. That would not be the Titan MRI hotline. It would be the Titan MRI cold line right now. I mean, if you can't read it, what is that all about?
I have no idea what it's all about. So anyway, JC, you were mentioning before the show you were a tennis expert. So give us a rundown of what's going on in the world of tennis.
Well, right now, the first major, there's 4, right? Can you name the 4 majors?
That would be the Australian Open, the French Open, the U.S. Open, and Wimbledon.
And so the Australian Open is going on right now. And what is unique about having the Australian Open in February is that it's summertime. So it's very hot down there because it's below the equator. I knew you knew that. And right now, the men's and women's semifinals are complete, and we are set up for finals. The finals would have your number 1 player in the world, Novak Djokovic.
He's been number 1 for a long time.
He really has. He's a tremendous player. He will be facing Daniil Medvedev from Russia, who beat Tsitsipas, and Tsitsipas beat Nadal in the semifinals. So Medvedev sweeps him in 3 sets, which is very impressive. Tsitsipas is from Greece, and Daniil Medvedev is from Russia. And they are playing in the men's finals. And then in the women's finals, Serena was beaten in the semis by Naomi Osaka. And she hails from Japan. Unbelievable player, incredible forehand, just a very hard serve, very difficult to deal with. And she beat Serena at Serena's own game with power. She just flat out overpowered Serena Williams, which is hard to believe. And many are thinking, including Chrissy Everett, that this could be the last time we see Serena Williams at the Australian Open in her mid-30s.
Doesn't she have to win 1 more major to break the record or something along those lines?
Something like, yes, because Margaret Court or somebody like that has the most, and Serena is right there, I think 1 behind her, I believe. So, Serena will be at the French. She ain't going to retire
until she breaks that record.
No, I didn't mean retire from tennis. I'm saying that may have been the last time she travels to Melbourne, Australia. And so she will be, of course, at the French. She will be at the U.S. Open. She will be at Wimbledon. And Wimbledon is where I think she could probably get it because the grass there plays well for Serena. But this Osaka is no joke, man. She is, I think, the best player in the world in women's tennis. I really don't think there's any chance Jen Brady's got to beat her Brady is a 22nd seed, I think, an American playing great tennis. But Osaka is a different level right now. She's just playing. She's the Djokovic of women's tennis, I think. Anyway, I mean, she's a former U.S. Open winner. She's young, very young player, and very impressive.
So who do you think is going to win?
I got Osaka without a doubt beating Brady. And in the men's, I don't know how you could go against Djokovic right now unless he gets hurt or does something silly. Medvedev is great. I mean, to sweep this guy, this Greek player, in 3 sets is impressive. But he's very good. I mean, he's tall. I think he's the third best player in the world right now behind Nadal and Djokovic in the rankings. So he's capable of winning without a doubt. He could win. And he's won the U.S. Open, actually. So he is capable of winning. But I'm going to take the Croatian, and I'm going to take the Japanese player, Osaka, who's an American, too. She's an American as well.
Yeah, Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of your Florida Gators. She has one more major to tie at 24. So she needs to win majors to break the record.
It's okay to break. So she's tied at 24, or she needs to
one more major to tie at 24.
To tie. I see. Okay, yeah. So she's one back and needs to win 2 more to go as the leader in the majors. And we have Tiger Woods at 15 majors. Do you think he'll ever win another one?
No.
Okay, so you don't think he'll win the Masters anymore?
Well, let's be honest. Okay,
we are being
the Masters
honest.
He won. We consider that 2 years ago, the one he won.
Yeah.
He only won it. He didn't do anything to win it. You had about 7 players, the top players in the world, hit balls into the damn lake on the pond on 12.
Okay, that's called Amen Corner. Happens.
Right, but I'm saying it does happen, but he didn't do anything to win it, and I don't think he's good enough to compete with the top players in the world anymore.
Well, what he didn't do was hit it in the lake like all your other friends. So I guess he did do something to win it.
He hit the ball on the green. You think he's going to win another major? I'm asking you now.
I think if he does, you
didn't answer my question.
Okay, do I think he can? Well, I haven't seen him play this year. I don't know how he's.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's Tiger Woods.
Well,
Do you think he can win another major?
Yeah, I think he can win another major. Sure, absolutely.
Do you think he will win another major
between now and when he retires?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say he will. I'll say he'll win one more. Yeah, it'll be either something like the British Open at St. Andrews or the Masters, something like that.
He will not win another major. How many is it? What's he, 3 behind Jack?
He's got 15. Yeah.
Yeah, he won't. He will not catch Jack. There's no way.
Probably not. But
way too many good players out there.
There are
that are better than him right now.
Well, there are, but the best player doesn't always win.
Right, and that's prime example of what happened at Augusta. Except
he didn't hit the ball in the water; he hit it on the green.
Right, but he won by 1 over a guy that did hit it in the water. So he was fortunate. Is my point. Very fortunate. But he, in my opinion, he is not winning another major.
You're just not going to give that guy any credit, QB. You just won't give him any credit.
No, because the other guys were better than him.
But they didn't win it.
Exactly, because they made one mistake. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with the vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. February is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. JC, have you gotten your vehicle wrap yet?
Not yet. I don't know what I'm waiting on. I think, I might wait until we get into the rainy season, although it already feels like that right now. It's not supposed to rain like this until June or July or May, I guess. But here we are in February. Although this weekend's going to be spectacular. Get out to the ballpark if you let them in. Some guy was telling me last night, he said, you can get into the baseball game. I said, no. I don't know. I said, listen, dude.
Is that the same guy? Is that the same guy that told you they were putting more people in the O'Connell Center?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, he's wrong.
Well, he probably is wrong, but he was adamant. Oh, you can get into the game. I said, no, bro, they're only going to sell 1,700 tickets to this game,
but they're not selling them. You already have. If you're going to this baseball game,
you already have the tickets.
You already know who is going in. You cannot walk up to the gate and get in the ballpark.
Well, that's just like I said. I had to correct him. I mean, 1,700 seats is all they're allowing to be sat in. So that's what you got. And everybody's all spread out. It's going to be whatever. But it is what it is, I guess. But no, and I don't think they're putting more people in the Exact Tech arena either. I don't know where he came up with that one. But look, I mean, he's a guy that's gone to Gator Sports, so I don't know where he gets his information. But this is rumors I hear and stuff, and I don't pay attention to it really.
Yeah. Don't forget to go to podupwithshane.com, put your name in the hopper. We'll send another hat next week, and also the same thing for the G-Tech Clean Survival Kit. JC, Gator football started spring football yesterday.
Good.
It's going to be a weird spring because we are not playing a spring game. There are other SEC teams playing spring games.
Well, Florida's made its decision. They're using Florida Field for other things. Okay, so Florida Field is being used for other things, and that does not include a spring football game.
So when you say what's it being used for?
Testing and administrating vaccines. It's testing for COVID. It's a COVID.
So
site.
they have doctors and nurses lined up on the 50-yard line doing this?
I don't know the roster or the organization, but that's what was read. And so that's what they're using it for. They're not using it for a football game. But I have a hard time believing. We're going to get confirmation on that because I guarantee you we're going to be practicing. They're going to be practicing in the swamp. But this is when the game is supposed to be played, is when they're going to be using the facility for other things. So, I mean, I'm not saying during the practice, the 15 practices they have. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when it's time for the game, they're not going to use it for the game. They're going to use it for other things that involve the coronavirus. But I will predict one thing for you as we get ready for spring practice that you may probably disagree with, but I think it's got a real good chance of happening. And that is, I'm going to say Anthony Richardson is going to be your starting quarterback in the fall.
No way.
Okay. I knew you'd say that, but I'm going to say it right now.
Okay. No chance. No chance
why?
At all.
Tell me, can you just tell me one reason why?
I think Emory's been in the system much longer. They're pretty much the same player.
Anthony's bigger. He's probably as fast or faster. How do you know he's the same player? You haven't seen Anthony.
I've seen him play. Okay. He's got a long ways to go.
Okay. Well, that's what practice is about. I mean, that's why
that is true. That is true. But just Emory Jones will be the starting quarterback.
Okay. We'll see. All right. I just thought I'd throw it out there, QB.
Yeah.
We'll see if it sticks.
It ain't gonna stick.
Okay. All right. Well, gee, I've got a podcast with Dan Mullen this morning. I'll be darned. How about that?
Look, JC, I've seen them both in person.
I didn't ask you if you saw them.
What's that?
I didn't ask you if you've seen them in person. I told you that I think Richardson's going to, by the time we get to the fall, you're going to watch Richardson start.
No, it won't happen. Okay. It will not happen. He is not ready. Trust me.
I'm writing this date down in history as February the 19th? Yes, it's the 19th. I'm going to mark this date down so that when we get to, if we get to September and we get to the start of the season, we'll see.
So we got a lunch bet here that you're trying to, I don't even know who Florida plays in week 1. You're trying to tell me Anthony Richards is going to taking the first snap. You're crazy as hell.
All right.
The only way is if Emory has COVID.
Okay. Whatever.
And hopefully by then, none of them have it. So this is Emory Jones's team. People need to realize that. You got to remember, JC. Do you know who Dan Mullen's main prize recruit is?
Tell me.
Emory Jones.
Okay.
He was the number 1 guy. He flipped him from Ohio State when he got the job. The kid has waited 3 years. He's going to have every opportunity to be the starting quarterback, and he will. He
is going to have every opportunity to be the starting quarterback, but I just got a feeling that Richardson's going to beat him out.
That ain't going to happen.
Okay.
It won't happen. Now Anthony will play some. He will play some, but he will not be the starter. We play FAU. Thanks, John. So when the Owls roll in here, I'm going to figure out where we're going to eat, and I'm going to eat a lot because I just won that bet.
How did you know the Owl? I mean, you just when the Owls roll in here, and you didn't know that the Owls were rolling in for game 1?
I didn't. John on Facebook Live just told us.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know what kind of Gator fan you are, but you got to know your schedule, QB. Now, look, the schedule is exciting, right? I mean, the home schedule. Do you think that by then, and I know this is no way you can answer. There's no way you can answer this, but I'm just going to throw it out as a question to see what you think or what you would guess the capacity situation would be for next season. They're going to let more fans in? Think there's going to be tailgating? You think it's going to be more normal?
I don't.
Okay. Well,
I think I have a feeling it's going to be just like it was this year.
Oh, that would be really miserable for these students, man. It's such a shame. They're missing out on an experience. They're missing out on such an experience. Yeah.
Yes, they are. So, Dan says here, our wager should be a bone-in steak at Spurrier's paid for by JC. You dang right it is, Dan.
Well,
that was the easiest wager. That's our Peachland Dentistry wager of the year.
The Peachland Dentistry wager of the year. I can't wait to tell Joe he sponsored a wager of the year. Yep. Very good. Okay, well, look, I mean, that's fine. I'm just telling you, it's anybody's job, but maybe not. But, I
have no idea who's been talking to you, but if it's who I think it is, do not listen to them. Because they ain't ever been right.
Okay. Well, I know you know who I think it is, or who it is, because it is him. But he made some good points. I'll just leave it at that, and we'll see.
Yeah, it's no chance in the world. I lost my track of thought. Hey, so the Gators play tomorrow. They have to have this win against Georgia.
To win.
Who's Alabama got tomorrow, JC?
All right, the Tide. Alabama at an incredible 12-1 for the year plays Vanderbilt. So mark that up for 13-1. The question will be, will they get to 100? An Alabama team, it's very simple for me. If they shoot better than 50% from three-point land, they can beat anybody. If they don't, they can lose to anybody. And so that's really all it is with Alabama. As far as Tennessee and Kentucky and LSU and some of these other teams in the SEC that sometimes have good nights, sometimes have bad nights, it really just comes down to who catches fire at the right time. And I think that can be said for all of basketball, especially when it comes down to the tournament. So I think, and they will have, by the way, an SEC tournament. That is going to happen. And that's important. I think that will help a team like Tennessee or Kentucky or Auburn or LSU or somebody having that opportunity to either improve their possible standing or seeding or get a backdoor into the tournament. So I think anybody can win the SEC tournament. Well, I think any of the 5 or 6 top tier teams could win that tournament. You can catch Alabama on a bad night. Missouri did. You can also catch Tennessee on a great night. So anything could happen, I think. But I think really it's down to those top 5 teams. And Florida would be included in that.
We got a Facebook Live here from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Gene says, Cardinals hat for JC. When do catchers and pitchers report?
I think any day now, Gene.
Speaking of that, we're going to have Johnny Damon on next week. Maybe he'll know when they report. But why the Cardinals hat today?
I had a Pirates hat on the other day. I think it is because I am thinking about baseball for some reason. I'll be breaking out the San Diego Padres hat after they just gave Fernando Tatis Jr. half of the county of San Diego to be a Padre for the rest of his life.
How much did they give him? What was it again?
Over 300. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Snell, the Tampa Bay pitcher who should not have been taken out in the World Series, wasn't he traded to San Diego? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, he's a great pitcher, right? And Tampa Bay's best pitcher. And I don't think he's with Tampa Bay anymore. And something is telling me he ended up in San Diego. And the Padres are a very good, young, and exciting team to watch. I hope fans are allowed in the stadium at some point this year, but I doubt it.
So, JC, our great support staff here at Pot Up with Matthews in the morning just fixed the text line while we were on the line, and now I can read the text. God. How about that?
Thank God. So now the Titan MRI hotline is hot again and not cold. Thank
Yes,
goodness.
And this comes from our good friend Ryan. He says, Happy Friday, gents. Stat of the day.
Okay.
I know this one. I was going to read this one today, and I'm glad he brought it up. From 2009 to 2016, 22 QBs were drafted in the first round.
Oh.
And with Carson Wentz being traded to the Colts, all 22 of them are now out of the league or on a different team. Over $1 billion in contracts and countless time and dollars in scouting. For every Tom Brady, there's a dozen Blake Bortles. Proves two things. There ain't many franchise QBs out there, and the pressure to win now doesn't allow for much patience among general managers and owners. Y'all have a great weekend. I wanted to read that to you. That's an amazing stat. From 09 to 16, 22 QBs were drafted in the first round, and none of them are with the same team, and a lot of them are out of the league.
Well, that's amazing. Philadelphia had a guy that won them a Super Bowl, and they benched him. And I would think that he would still be in Philadelphia if they didn't bench him for Carson Wentz. Now, was Carson Wentz injured? Yes. Did Carson Wentz deserve to have a shot at his job back? I guess. But in the NFL, I don't care about any of that. The guy who wins you a Super Bowl or the guy who's your best player should always be your starting quarterback. And Nick Foles was that player. He handled, I will say this, Nick Foles handled Peterson's offense better than Carson Wentz did. I don't know why he did. It just seemed to work better with Nick Foles, with Doug Peterson calling the plays than it did with Carson Wentz. For whatever reason, it just seemed to work better, and Philadelphia let him go. And I was talking to a diehard Eagles fan yesterday, not the one that we know, but another diehard Eagles fan, and he rues the day that they got rid of Nick Foles, because Nick Foles to them he's got the statue. And to me, that's one thing I could always say about the Eagles is that their biggest mistake was going back to the conventional wisdom that you bring back a guy who got hurt, even though, he may not have been the guy that won you the biggest game of your life. So I don't know. Nick Foles didn't do great in Jacksonville. I think he's average at best at Chicago, but there was something about him and Doug Peterson that worked in Philly. And had they kept him, I have a feeling the Eagles would have been more successful. And Carson Wentz would have been somewhere else playing for another team, like he is now.
I'm going to read you this day in sports at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchased, $199 value. Service department's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. So, JC, this happened in 1995.
Okay.
Were you still at TV 20 in 1995?
I was.
Okay,
right
so you should know this. You should know this.
I should, but
we're going back to since we're so knowledgeable in NASCAR driving.
Oh, jeez.
There's been 3 drivers that have won back-to-back Daytona 500s. So the third time it happened in 1995 at the 37th Daytona 500. I'm going to tell you who the other 2 that have won back-to-backs. Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough, your heroes. Right. Mm-hmm. Sterling Marlin won for the second straight year.
I wouldn't have known that. But that's
that happened on this day in sports.
So, QB, did you ever have a chance to Google David Pearson's Purolator Mercury or Cale Yarborough?
You know what? I will do it as soon as the show ends today.
And you will see the difference. And you will see what I was talking about with the difference between drivers, cars, teams, everything. It was so much more cool back then. And there had so much more character to auto racing in those days. And that's why I liked it better.
Yeah. Rick says, rumor of the day, Tebow is visiting Jacksonville. Well, he lives in Jacksonville, Rick.
I'm sorry, but we won't see Tim Tebow playing quarterback for the Jaguars.
Were you not on the show when I came up with the solution?
What was the solution?
Well,
probably wasn't.
And I've said it like every day on the show. I thought it was view. So, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, all the Jacksonville fans have wanted Tebow. And, of course, if Tebow would have been on the roster and he wasn't playing, all hell would have broke loose with the fans. You hear the old Tebow during the games, So now I think Urban should sign Tebow. Yeah, it may help with ticket sales. They already sold everything pretty much with Trevor Lawrence. But nobody in the stands is going to want Tebow playing quarterback like they used to because they're going to have the guy, Trevor Lawrence. So now you can use Tebow as a mentor, a guy who's been around, who's good in the locker room, and a guy who could be maybe Taysom Hill. But it wouldn't be the big dog and pony show, so to speak, with him because Trevor Lawrence will be on that team.
Yeah, Kimmy, how many years ago was it that he quit? That he ended with Denver? I mean, that was not recent. That's been a while.
8 years ago, I think.
Yeah, he's not the same player. He can't play NFL football right now. So maybe he can run the ball or catch something, but he's not a quarterback right now. He's gotten older. I think Trevor Lawrence is your guy. I don't know what Urban's got to find a guy that will really work well with Trevor Lawrence calling the plays and so forth because. Urban's offense is not. I don't know how that will work in the NFL. I don't know if it will or will not. But make no mistake, when they were at Ohio State, he was at Ohio State. He called the plays. He was the guy. Yep. I mean, I know they had Tom Herman there and so forth, but Urban Meyer ran that offense. He doesn't
call plays.
No, I think he did at Ohio State.
No, he doesn't. All right, JC, we got to take a time out here. We got to get to our G-Tech commercial, and we got Becky Burleigh coming on.
All right,
talk a little girls
soccer,
women's. I always say it, girls, women's soccer. So we'll talk to you on Monday, JC.
All right, we'll see you.
Let me tell you about one of our new sponsors, G-Tech Clean.
G-Tech Clean is your complete germ protection. It's EPA approved to kill COVID-19 and kills 99.9% of all germs and viruses, black mold, and also deodorizes. It's the safest, affordable way to clean and sanitize your business, no matter if it's a gym, school, retail store, or office. Use it in your home anywhere from the bathroom to the kids' room. It's formulated to provide 24/7 protection and is over 30 times more durable than any other cleaners. Try G-Tech at home as well.
G-Tech Clean. I keep my studio clean of all the germs and viruses, and so should you. Check them out, G-Tech Clean. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by the great Becky Burleigh. Talk a little Gators soccer and what's in store for her after this year. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel,
Silver Q, State Farm Insurance Agent Ruse Ogra.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all our great sponsors that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Sensei, Dave & Buster's, opening soon, Prime and Pearl. Coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by Becky Burleigh. Good morning, Becky. How are you?
Good morning.
Speaking of the HBC's new restaurant, I've been on a couple of tours. I heard you took a tour the other day. What'd you think? It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It was freaking amazing. That's going to be the hot spot in town.
Yeah, I was blown away. I mean, and everybody asked me, it's just some kind of sports bar. I was like, it ain't a sports bar, folks. It's a high-end restaurant museum.
It is really high-end. I mean, it's going to be the place to have some good celebrations.
Yeah. Your background there, we were talking about it before the show started here. Those are your current girls on the team back there?
Yep, that's our current team. We change it every year and just kind of keep rotating it.
That's pretty cool. Well, Becky, we'll talk about your retirement here in just a second. But I want to go back because you've been on our show before, but you played college soccer at Methodist. But what's amazing to me is, and I want you to explain to me how this happened. You became a head coach at age 21 at Berry College up in Georgia. Who thinks it's a good idea to hire a 21-year-old?
That's a really good question. It was a different era, clearly. But I think there was the athletic director, Bob Pearson, was a very forward-thinking guy, and he was convinced that he wanted a female coach for his women's team, and the team was really successful. They had won the NCAA National Championship 2 years before. And I think the real thing that helped me the most was I had a lot of contact with that head coach. His name was Ray Leone, who's now the head coach at Maryland. I had a lot of contact with him working camps. Actually, the Duke soccer camp, I was there with him for multiple years. And so he knew me pretty well. He saw me coach. And without that connection, that never happens.
And you were very successful there. I mean, you won 2 national titles at the NAIA level, I believe. Tell us how it all happened when you get a phone call from Jeremy Foley.
Well, that was pretty crazy because it was a time when soccer was just booming. The number of soccer programs that were being added was huge. And, I really loved it at Barry. I was in no hurry to leave, but there was just this opportunity with all these schools opening. And when Florida decided, I knew Florida was going to be really good just by looking at all the success they'd had in other sports. And so when I had a chance to come down here and interview, I had interviewed at several places prior to that. A couple of jobs I'd been offered, a couple of jobs I hadn't been offered. But when I came to Florida, I was literally here for about 2 hours before I called my best friend. And I was like, if they offer me this job, I'm taking it. It's perfect.
So, I mean, you had to start from scratch. And, how difficult was that? Going to a huge university. Obviously, you didn't have your nice office that you have now. I don't even know where your office was back then. But 27 years ago, what did it look like on campus for Gators soccer?
Well, it was pretty crazy. First of all, my office was what is now the kitchen across from the administrative offices. Very small kitchen, by the way. But what was cool about that office actually was I was just in the pathway of every coach, every administrator I saw every single day. And I think, that wasn't on purpose. We just didn't have a building at that point for soccer to go into. But I think it really played a big part in my success because I got to see so many different people every single day. And then, we didn't have a practice field yet. So Coach Spurrier graciously allowed us to share the practice field, which what other school does that ever happen at?
Right.
And we actually trained first. So we would be out there and then football would come after us. I just think it was a really unique time.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Meldon Law. David says, in 30 years, soccer will supplant football as the dominant sport in our country. All kids play now, girls play, and parents are decreasing participation for their boys in football. You agree with that?
Well, I mean, if you look at the rest of the world, we are very sadly behind in the soccer participation and the soccer being the number one sport. But, it's a global game. I mean, I think that's the thing about soccer. It's a global game. You can't go to the tiniest village in the most remote area of the world and they're playing soccer. And then you go to the big cities and you see teams like, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. It's just an amazing culture. We think that Gator fans are passionate, and they are. There's no question. But try going to an English Premier League game where it is just life. I mean, it is your life to follow that team.
We're speaking with Becky Burleigh on the Titan More Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System. You can follow her on Twitter at Becky Burleigh. Becky, in '98, you win the national title. You beat North Carolina, who's they were the defending champs. In your 27 years as the coach here at Florida, I mean, obviously that's got to be your greatest moment, winning the national title.
I mean, it was really exciting because that group went through so many trials and tribulations to get there. They actually started the program here. We played North Carolina every opportunity we could. I mean, we played them in the fall. We'd play them in exhibition matches in the spring. And we got our butts kicked. I mean, we got really killed early on. I mean, one game we lost 9-0, and that was only because Anson told his team to stop scoring. But I think all of that disappointment and ability to handle the adversity was what sort of put us over the top in that '98 team.
Francis here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, says Becky's a class act and coach for UF and the soccer program. Does she still have her jukebox?
I wish I did. I do not have the jukebox anymore, but I'm planning on getting one in the future. Don't worry.
Yeah, I missed out on the jukebox. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway. So Becky, let's talk a little bit about this year. It's been an odd year. Volleyball had to do the same thing. Y'all had split seasons. How difficult has that been on you as a coach and your staff, and how difficult on the girls?
It's a really difficult time in the fall, I feel like, and partially because of COVID and like not really knowing how that was all going to play out. Like we went into the season not even knowing if we were having one. So you're training with the uncertainty of what for. And then you add in, the political climate, you add in the social justice climate, you add in the fact that you can't really effectively meet as a group. Any type of team meeting was really difficult to have. And I think for teams that spend a lot of time sort of talking out issues and dealing with things, it hit you harder because you couldn't do that. And then now coming into the spring, I mean, we have our first game scheduled for today. It's been canceled because of COVID. Fortunately, we were able to reschedule another game after going through two other opponents to try and reschedule. But we did finally land on one. We're playing College of Charleston tomorrow. But I think that's just going to be like that all spring. We're just going to have to sort of be grateful for the games that we get to play and be happy that we have an opportunity to get out there and compete as a team.
So I'm trying to remember, did y'all knew that you were going to have a split season when you started playing, right?
Well, kind of like that was the plan. I think the SEC, the reason that everybody in the SEC really pushed to play in the fall was because of the uncertainty surrounding the spring. Because just think of like the number of sports that play in the spring, and to throw soccer and volleyball into that mix, there was a lot of uncertainty whether that would actually go off or not.
David has a question here on Facebook Live. What outreach has Florida Soccer done to promote soccer and loyalty to UF?
Well, I mean, our team does a lot of outreach. It's not really specifically with soccer, but we definitely have put a big emphasis on that with our team. And one of my favorite groups is right here locally, Aces in Motion. It's actually kind of a tennis-based outreach, but we do some tutoring and we've done some activity for after-school programs. I actually think that our players really enjoy the outreach that they get to do because it sort of takes them a little bit outside of themselves. And, when you're a D1 athlete, there's a lot of pressures on you, whether it's academically, athletically, and to be able to do something that's outside of yourself and take the focus off yourself is kind of a welcome change.
We got a text on the Titan Mar hotline here. It comes from Joe. Joe says, Becky, you've coached a lot of really good girls, some that have played in the Olympics. Who's the most talented and best player you ever coached?
Oh, wow. Of course. Now you're just going to get everybody else mad at me for whoever I don't.
Exactly.
Obviously a lot of people would have to put Abby Wambach in that category just because of the international career that she had. And certainly, she was a force to be reckoned with. But, you look at Danielle Fotopoulos, one of the great goal scorers of all time. As a matter of fact, her NCAA record still stands and probably will be very, very difficult to break because it's just a different era of soccer now. Heather Mitz had an amazing career with the national team, much, much longer career than I think people would have anticipated when she started. And to be honest with you, there was a player here that I felt really made a big difference for us, which we still haven't seen the end of yet, is Laís Araujo. She's a Brazilian player that's playing professionally now and is still working hard to get to the next level with her game.
And I think we asked you last time, they have the Women's Professional Soccer League. I assume it's still going on with COVID or whatever. I haven't followed it. But is that pretty much a lot of your girls' goals is to try to play professionally? I know it's very difficult. I don't think they make a whole lot of money like other sports. But is that something that you talk to your girls about there, soccer after college?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a lot of players playing right now, and the league has just started again.
Okay.
And, last night there was a national team friendly. Canada played the U.S. in a really exciting game, and one of our current players was playing for Canada, Deanne Rose. But I think that playing beyond college has gone global for our players, which is super exciting. I mean, the amount of money that the English Premier League is putting into women's soccer right now, you see players that are on our national team that are playing in Europe, and they get their jerseys printed for their club and they sell out within minutes. Right now there's this huge push of celebrities owning professional women's soccer teams. Naomi Osaka just bought into the North Carolina Courage. Serena Williams is a part owner of Angel City, which is a team out in LA. And Jenna Hager-Bush and Chelsea Clinton just bought into the Washington Spirit. So it's kind of a very exciting time right now for women's professional sports, because I feel like it's kind of a shift in the paradigm a little bit. Maybe we're going to get to the point where it is a really good living wage for those women.
Awesome. At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. Speaking with Becky Burleigh from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Okay, Becky, you've decided to hang it up as a coach. You're still very, very young, but you've been coaching, 27 years at Florida, not counting your years at other colleges. What's ahead for Becky Burleigh now?
Well, I'm actually pretty excited about it, because I've had a little passion project called What Drives Winning that I've done on the side while I've been coaching a little bit. But now we're going to take that and put it into a master's degree at UF and teach that for aspiring coaches. So I think my hope is to be able to sort of affect the next generation of coaches.
So at age 50, I can take that class?
You can. It's online. Anyone in the world can take it.
Wow, that's interesting. So when does that start?
August.
In August, and that's pretty cool, actually. And we got a Facebook Live here from Keaton. He says, "Will Becky have any input on the hire of a new coach?"
I think that Scott Strickland has been really great at including our team's opinions. He met with our team a couple weeks ago, and he's asked me, to help be an advisor. I'm definitely not naming my successor. I don't think that's how that works around here. But I do think that Scott has been very open-minded into taking people's impressions of the candidates that he'll be pursuing.
So let me ask you this. How and when did you break the news to your current team?
Oh, gosh, it was about probably 3 weeks ago. It was after practice. We trained on a Saturday, and at the end of training, I told them, and it was really hard. I thought it was going to be hard, and it was harder than I thought it was going to be. For me, I would have liked to have played through this spring season and then told our current team. I thought that would give them a little less anxiety, because by the time the search was occurring and the search was finished would be a shorter period of time. But now, actually, that it's played out, I'm actually kind of glad that I told them early, because I feel like it's allowed me the opportunity to help work through each person's individual situations with that change, as opposed to just saying like, "Hey, I'm out. Good luck with the next coach." So in some ways, it's as difficult as it was, I'm glad it happened the way it did.
What's interesting, it's not like you're moving out of town. You're going to be on campus coaching, so you'll still see a lot of these girls on a daily basis.
That's what I told him. I said, "Well, I might not be your soccer coach, but as long as I don't step on any toes of the new coach, I'll be happy to be your life coach."
Yeah, that's awesome. Becky, I've had a bunch of Gator coaches on in the last month or two. Talk briefly about, COVID has been so hard, not on just everybody in America, but I try to tell them the student athlete, because, and coaches too, you're in such a routine. Every day where you're supposed to be at what time, and this is how it's supposed to go. But it's been totally different now with COVID. And from a mental standpoint, how's it been for your girls? I mean, I know it's been difficult, but how have they handled it?
I think they've handled it pretty well. I think that the fatigue that comes in is just the uncertainty of everything. Like literally at the beginning of this week, we announced that we had a game and it was game week and we were all excited. Day 2 of this week, we said, we're not playing. Day 3 of this week, we said, oh, we are playing. We're trying to work to get this one opponent. Then that fell through. So later in day 3, we're like, we're working on getting another opponent. And so it's just like one thing after another. And, the amount of times that we've adjusted our schedules. I mean, I think Teamworks is going to blow up on my phone because it changes so often. But it's just, that part is really, really difficult. But in the end, I feel like the resilience and the ability to pivot for this group is something that's going to really they'll take that forward in their life because, there's a lot of uncertainty in the real world too. And so being able to have had this experience in the long run will probably pay off. I know we're all ready for it to be kind of over, but I think in the long run, this is going to be a good thing.
I want to go back to your outside deal, or now your class you're going to be teaching called What Drives Winning. You've been doing that for a while. You've spoken with a lot of very successful coaches around the country. Talk a little bit about who you've spoken and worked this program with. Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, that's been something that's been like an education that I could never have paid for, and I think that's been the beauty of this is I've always felt like I can take what these amazing coaches have and use it with my own team. So like, for example, one of my favorites that we've worked with is Brad Stevens from the Celtics. Just his demeanor, his professionalism, the way he interacts with players. And, in the NBA, you really have to use influence to get your players to do what they want, because certainly you can't use power. You're not going to say, hey, let's all line up and run some sprints. That's probably not going to go over too big, and just seeing the power dynamics and how those things work. It's really fascinating to me. You look at like Bill Belichick, who's also participated. You look at Bob Stoops, Coach Spurrier. It's very interesting to see how people are authentic to themselves, but they also find ways to bring in what they need for the environment that they're in. And I look at a coach like Urban Meyer, who the collegiate football scene is like way different than the pro football scene. And to be able to like follow how people adapt and adjust when they're in a different environment is really fascinating to me. Yeah,
that is so true. Last thing for you. What did Coach Spurrier, I know he picked up the phone when he heard you were retiring. What did he say to Becky Burleigh?
Well, Coach Spurrier, he's always going to have something to say. So I think he's just, I think, excited for me. He's excited that I'm not, leaving Gainesville. But, there's so many great Coach Spurrier stories from back in the day when he was coaching here. But one of the things that I will always take from Coach Spurrier is I felt like he was so Team Florida, meaning, he would come to other people's sporting events. He would know what was happening. It wasn't like a casual thing for him. Like, he was very involved with what people were doing. And it just made Florida feel like such a collegial environment in terms of everyone supporting one another. And I think that's something that has carried on after he's not been a coach here, which says a lot to his legacy.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Well, Becky, we wish you a lot of luck the rest of the year teaching your class, the whole What Drives Winning program. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a statue of Becky Burleigh outside the soccer complex. No. Oh, yeah. One day there will be one. Trust me.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. You've been a great ambassador for our university, and we wish you a lot of luck.
Thanks, Shane.
All right. That's Becky Burleigh. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take our final time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Friday edition.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Hot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Darlene Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rat Spot, Aikido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all our great sponsors that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Really want to thank JC and Becky Burleigh for joining us today. Folks, remember Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. And JC and I did our golf picks on Wednesday. We will recap that on Monday. We got a good lineup next week. We got a couple people we're waiting to hear from, but we would definitely have Johnny Damon, former professional baseball player who's a big Gator fan, was going to come here and play baseball, and also Jimmy Dykes from ESPN, talking about college hoops with him. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot, folks. Be safe out there. We'll see you next week.